when I was a baby in hospital. I remember playing with my Woody toy. I pulled a string and he said, "I've got a snake in my boots." I remember I had an operation and my auntie made me laugh and it hurt. I remember I got lost when I was very young and I followed the wrong lady. I remember whenever my dad came home and we'd hide behind the sofa and jump out.
Stop.
I remember drinking ash out of a pop can. I remember my mum took me to Edinburgh and a strange man walked into the loo. I remember when I was a baby and my dad tried to get me to sleep in his digger. I remember on a family holiday in France getting lost in a supermarket and a French woman kissed me. I remember standpipes in the street when there was no water and the smell of the warm rain when it came and the smell of sweet flowers. I remember the smell of the chip pan in my grandma's house. I remember the smell of warm bread and butter in Spain. I remember the smell of the seaside, the donuts, the candy floss, the seaweed and the salt, and the steam from the fairground rides and the 2p machines. I remember the smell of the pub when I walked past it. I remember the smell of smoke machines on the stage and hairspray. I remember the smell of burning turnips at Halloween. I remember the smell of my mum's perfume on her pillow when she went away. I remember the day after bonfire night and the smell of fireworks and smoke in my clothes and my hair. I remember the smell of my dad's dressing gown when he was on shifts. And I remember the sound of waves on Jersey. In the winter they were crashing, in the summer they were calm. And I remember Grandma's Elvis records, In the Ghetto.
In the ghetto!
I remember the sound of the fairground, screaming and music and machinery. I remember the sound of the grandmother clock chiming in my parents' house. I remember the sound of the home time bell at school. I remember the sound of when it's been snowing, silence. I remember the sound of my teddy bear. It had a button on its hands and feet and it said, "I love my mummy."
Oh.
I remember my new red bike. I was proper happy and excited. I remember fighting over the biscuit you get with coffee. I remember the sound of music when I learnt to dance. And I remember the taste of mint Viscount biscuits at my grandma's.
Yeah.
Oh,